We've walked through sunshine, we stood in rain. We've danced in joy and we've wept through pain. Through every valley, through every climb, a love eternal stands the test of time. Faith, find and forever love, built on grace sent from above. Through storms that shake, through skies that clear, His hand has held us year by year.
Hey,
What's up, people?
guess what? Oh my God, it's June.
It's June.
What?
It's
What?
June. Didn't Prince have a song about that?
Oh no, did he?
Yeah, Sign of the Times. The guy was doing, the woman was doing drugs. Now she's doing horse. It's June. Some of y'all remember that. A lot
I
of y'all
remember
like,
the song. I just don't remember all the words.
Hey, I'm a working man today. Got to get things done sometime. As you can tell, I'm starting to get my summer tan already. And it's a little early to be getting the summer tan, but it seems like that the tan is coming. And I got stuff to do. So
Yep.
It is what it is. But hey, welcome to another Marriage Monday with Bill and Michelle. I am Bill. This is Michelle. We have 36 years in the books. And so our goal is to help you become better at your happily ever after. Okay?
Yeah.
So welcome you back to the first marriage encounters for June 2026.
Yeah, every marriage has seasons. If you look up here, that's going to be our June series. We're going to talk about some seasons. Some seasons are exciting, some seasons are challenging, some seasons are beautiful, some seasons stretch you in ways you never expected. All of us go through seasonal changes.
Right. But the wonderful thing is that healthy couples learn how to go and grow through all of them. Because if you just continue living, things are going to change. Now, the only way things don't change is if you check out.
That's true.
Check out, well, you got another change coming on that. But if you check out,
it's just not a change you have control over.
Right. But if you keep living and breathing, things are going to change, and you have to learn to adapt. Your marriage change, your age change, your children change. Everything changes. There's a song about that. Nothing stays the same. Yeah. But if you put in parameters and develop the skills, you can navigate the challenges and the ups and downs, the pluses and minuses of living a life that is changing.
So week one, this week today, we are going to talk about spring. And when most people think about spring, they think about flowers and sunshine and beautiful weather like we have right now. We are in spring right now. Even though it feels like summer, it is spring. But there's what we forget is before the flowers bloom, the ground has to be broken up. So there is, when we think about planting and getting our gardens together, getting our flower beds together, we have to break up that soil in order to get that goodness in there so that it can come up.
Right. So before visible growth happens, there's a whole lot of work under the surface that has to be done. And a lot of it, some of it is uncomfortable, but it has to be done in order to produce growth. You cannot produce growth with seeds without first breaking up the soil. And that can be labor intense. And then once it's broken up, sometimes it's broken up in clumps. Now you got to cultivate it so that the dirt becomes finer. All of that before you can even drop the seed in the ground.
Right.
And then after you drop the seed in the ground, it's still work to do. So, you got to understand that your marriage is just like that. I mean, some things have to be broken up so that new things can grow and go forward. And just understand that it's always going to be some work, some management. Even when God put Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden,
he
said,
had to manage
he said, I'm putting you in a Garden of Eden and everything that you need is in here. But you have to till it. You have tend it. You have to manage it. If you don't manage it, then even that Garden of Eden would have grown out of control.
Right.
You got to manage these things, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, the thing about it is having a garden, having growth, all that sounds really good until you actually have to do that management piece.
Right.
Um,
Forget about
every,
the Pinterest pictures.
yeah, because everybody loves a garden when it's, when your plant is this big. But what happens when it gets this big? Because it will.
Yep.
Especially if you don't prune it,
Right.
it's gonna get bigger. And so, when they show you these beautiful little gardens with everything that's
Everything is
just
cute.
little tiny and it's
Mm-hmm.
just here and there, that's not how I really get. Yeah, and yeah, some of y'all have been, live with me in the garden, in the summer when it gets hot, when things are
Tomato plants is 5-6 feet tall.
right, and they're everywhere and they're all over. Like right now, I don't even know. We have tomato plants that are growing in our garden in places that they shouldn't even be.
Just growing buck wild.
Well, I mean, they're just in places that we didn't plant them. They're just coming back. And so seeds that you've sown, sometimes they come back in places that you didn't really expect them to come back at. They come back at times that you didn't expect them to come back. One of the things, my husband was like, oh, we need to get tomatoes. We need to get them planted. And I was like, let's see what comes back. Well, if we would have waited, first of all, we wouldn't be on track. But second of all, we would not have, we wouldn't have expected. So we've been pulling tomato plants up. If you need some, let me know. We've been pulling tomato plants up in places that they were never designed to grow. Intended to grow. Yeah, not designed, but they never intended to grow. So growth sounds good until it requires change. Everybody wants the growth. Everybody wants, to get on the self-help kick and to do all, to read all the books and to go through all the things. But will you actually do it?
Will you put in the work?
Because here's the thing. We can want it all day. What are we going to do about it?
Are you willing to put in the work? I never will forget. I looked up something, and they were growing these strawberries
yeah.
in these nice little gutters, like gutters on your house. And they were so cute. They had a gutter this big.
They were cute.
And a gutter that big, and they were just kerosene, water falling over. Oh, man, it looked wonderful. But you know what? The problem is when you put a strawberry plant in a metal gutter, that metal gutter gets 400 degrees in the sun.
Right.
And everything dies. They don't tell you that part.
Yeah.
So just because it looks beautiful in the picture doesn't mean it's adaptable to where you are in life and your social or economic situation.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Just don't jump at the first thing that you see because it looks good. It might not work for you. Okay.
Yeah.
But what we want to make sure is that we challenge you that your marriages become strong. And we want them stronger through better communication, more peace, more intimacy, more purpose. But growth requires stretching. No, that wasn't a game. Trust me, that wasn't a gang sign. And stretching, ladies and gentlemen, can oftentimes be uncomfortable.
Physically and in your marriage. Because sometimes if you stretch physically, it's not necessarily that comfortable, but it does create a good feeling afterwards. So one of the
weeks afterwards.
Yeah, that's true. One of the biggest mistakes couples make is believing the person that they married is finished growing. So what I've seen and the person that you married may not be the person that you see 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the road. As I grow more, as I continue to grow more, as I continue to develop, then there's going to be some things that are going to change. We have to constantly be relearning each other because there's still healing that's happening. There's still discoveries that need to be made of what God is doing in our lives and how he's creating in us and how he's making us again. I think about the potter at the wheel. There was something that was made. The potter made a vessel, but realized that there was a mar in it. So then made that vessel again another. And so there's some times in our lives when God is still doing things, still working on areas, still reforming areas, still, molding us in certain areas. And so because this is how I was, right, in year number 2, first of all, I shouldn't be at the same place. But second of all, there should be growth. There should be change. And so we have to adapt to that change as it happens.
That's good. That's a good point. And even when you think about it, where the potter made the vessel another, you know, you could ask the question: did he make it something brand new, or did he take the flaw that was already in it and use the flaw to create something? Because the flaw was there and the flaw couldn't be replaced. I'm just saying this is
Mhm.
just maybe. So he made and incorporated the flaw into the work. But that's the tapestry that God can do. He can incorporate your flaws because y'all all got them, and we do too,
Exactly.
into a beautiful body of work. All right. So uh, the person you got to ask yourself the question: the person you're sitting next to today is not the person they were 5 years ago. Hopefully, neither are you, and they
Mhm.
will not be the person 5 years from now. Okay. So when
Mhm.
you understand that, then oftentimes growth creates tension. Why? Because it has to stretch. Roots have to go down before things come up. So growth in your marriage can create tension. Uh, One spouse starts pursuing their dream. One starts a journey of healing. Maybe there's some health challenges. One becomes more confident. One changes their habits. And maybe in the case of us, I'm trying to sit back and relax, and somebody's still trying to go forward. I'm trying to be on somebody's beach somewhere in the
I'm not
world.
saying that I don't want to be on the beach. I'm just saying that I'm not ready to go sit and not do the other stuff.
So sometimes that creates tension.
Yeah, I mean, and it does. I mean, because especially when people are at different stages in their development stages of their growth stages of their life. Um, if you are in two different generations, it can cause some tension. It can cause some stretching. I just think about we see a trainer, and I've been traveling a lot for the last few weeks, and so I haven't seen him. So I guarantee you that the next time that I see him, his whole motive will be to try to kill me.
Mm,
Why? Because I haven't stretched. I
mm,
haven't stretched like I need to. I've been in planes, I've been in cars, I've been, here and there, trying to catch up on work in between. And I haven't stretched like I need to. I know I haven't because I can feel it in my body. And so sometimes when we get that stretching, when we get that tension, when we're being stretched, it does not feel comfortable, but it does produce something on the other side. And so it's um, sometimes when we're looking at growth, we can become nervous about it. We can get edgy about, because we're not sure what the next season looks like. We're not sure what does it look like if I am continuing to pursue and he's putting on the brake a little bit. What does that look like? How does it look like for us to continue to move forward? What kind of conversations do we need to have? We start to ask, will this change us? Will it change? Some of y'all are at the place, your kids just graduated from college or just graduated from high school, and how will this change us? Will this be, I saw somebody the other day put on Facebook, "Whoo, this empty nest life is feeling kind of good." Yeah, at first, but what happens? How do you re-engage? How do you recreate rhythms when things change?
mm,
um, what do we still need to be doing? How do we still need to be reconnecting? What will our relationship, what parts of it will stay the same? What parts of it will change? So those are all the things that you need to be asking as you're going through this season of spring. Spring is that time where we clean out the closets and we decide what we're going to keep, and we decide what we're going to get rid of, and we decide, we get the dust bunnies out of the corners. On really nice days, we open the windows and we let that stale air out and the new air come in. So all of those things are things that we're looking at as we're looking at this springtime season.
right. Trying to get through these changes. That's what Kashif said.
Uh-huh.
But listen, please recognize and understand that if you're asking the question, will our relationship stay the same? The answer is no. Let's just get that out of your mind right now. The answer is no.
And
But
it
that
shouldn't.
no, but that doesn't mean it has to become bad or bitter. It just means that you have to be able to deal with the ebbs and flows that life brings, right? So, truth of the matter is, your spouse should never have to think that they got to shrink so you can feel comfortable. Healthy couples become each other's biggest cheerleaders, right? Uh, so understand that nobody should have to shrink in this relationship. Everybody should be comfortable with each other's successes and each other's failures. And we have different levels of success, but everybody should be comfortable enough where if you continue to scale the ladder, it doesn't bother me. And if your spouse continues to scale the ladder, it doesn't bother you, because ultimately you should be growing this thing together.
Yeah. We're not in competition. And I think that's one of the
That can
things.
be challenging.
That's one of the things that we have to really look at. We're not in competition. We are a team. So in any team sport, both of us, all of us, have to work to make that team the most effective that it can be. Everybody can't, we watched the game the other day. Everybody's not going to be the 30-point shooter that night. Sometimes it's just that you have a really good defense, that you're getting that ball back, that you're doing some rebounds, that you may not be shooting well. And that's okay. We're not in competition. We are a team. So we are trying to make sure that everything that needs to happen with our team is being done. That person that is the trainer that's in the back, that is, rubbing down knees and rubbing down backs and making sure that arms are loose and making sure that knees are good, they're not getting praise, but they're important to the team. And so what do you need? What does your marriage need on the team? Who does it need on the team to make it a strong team? Do you need marriage counseling? Do you need spiritual guidance? What do you need to make your team strong? Because y'all are not in competition. You are a partnership. Both of us need to be growing, so that both of us get the benefit of that growth.
That's good. That's good. Because the reality is, if the team wins, every person on the team wins.
The person that set the whole team, the whole night, still gets a ring.
I don't know. I've never researched it, but maybe even the trainers get rings.
I don't know.
If he's part of that, then maybe if the team gets a ring, everybody that's associated to a point gets a ring. But sometimes God allows growth seasons because he's preparing you for something bigger, right? And perhaps a new opportunity, a new level of purpose, a new experience, perhaps even a new season of impact. God is preparing you for something bigger. And in order to get you there, sometimes God has to expedite the time, which
Right.
means he's got to force you to pick up the pace a little bit. And then sometimes he's got to slow you back down so you can enjoy the things that that the Lord has already blessed you with. But either way, God has taken us through seasons because he's not finished with you yet. If he was, then you should be dead.
That's true.
I mean, but until then, your life still has a purpose. Your marriage still has a purpose. So we need to grow this thing together.
And if we're not careful, in those times when growth is happening and things are, changing and there's shifting, that we will sometimes resist that season because it doesn't feel good. I know, I'll be honest, sometimes when my trainer's not looking, I may not go all 25. I may go 20 and be like, oh yeah, we're good. Why? Because I'm resistant to the change that my body is making. I'm resistant to, I don't want to do 5 more. My arms hurt. Okay. So growth can be messy. It can be painful. It can look like mistakes sometimes. It can, you can have hard conversations during that time. Sometimes you may need therapy. You may need a trainer or a coach or someone to walk alongside you that maybe doesn't is there, and they don't have the same focus that you have. They don't have the same vision that you have, and so that they can see from a different perspective. And offer you suggestions or offer you, hey, did you really mean to say it that way? Is that, really what were you really trying to say? This is what you said, but let me offer you a different way of saying that may not produce the explosive, or may that person may be the person that's saying, hey, come off of social media, don't post, because a lot of times we like to post, but that person may be the person that's saying, no, don't post, come and have a conversation with me. Don't push back, come and have a conversation, so that you can get yourself together and you can go back into the situation much more effectively and more clear-headed.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because growth can feel uncomfortable, um, and you're leaving behind, honestly, a version of yourself that you might like.
That's true.
You might be cool with it, but you're leaving that version behind because the model of your marriage no longer fits that particular version. And so now you both have to be stretched. You both have to grow. But in growth, you have to grow together.
Yeah.
Because the challenge is marriages grow, but unfortunately, a lot of them grow apart.
Mm-hmm.
Growing is growing, but most of the time they grow apart. But how do you on purposely make sure that your marriage continues to grow together?
Yeah.
You're growing, she's growing, and we're growing as a couple.
Yeah.
Right? Because seasons are going to come and seasons are going to go. But if you're growing in those seasons, you're growing closer, then you can create a marriage that is a happily ever after, and not just an ever after, and not just a never ever after. Right?
True.
So let's step into what our love work is for this week, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Our scripture is from Ecclesiastes 3:1. You know it. You're very familiar with it. For everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. For everything there is a time and a season and a purpose.
Yeah.
For everything under heaven. So it's got to be the season, and then there's a time within the season, and then there's purpose that drives the efforts in the season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? Gotta have that.
Yeah. And so when we think about that, God has created seasons for a purpose, which means that changes and punishment, change is part of the process. So we didn't get a seed and then tomorrow we got an orange tree. There's a process that has to happen in order for that to happen. Mm-hmm. So let's look at love work. Mm-hmm. What does that look like?
Well, this week you have to ask a few questions. Have you grown in the last year? And how have you grown?
Yeah.
Because you put on a few pounds don't mean you're grown.
Right. That's growing, but in a different way.
Right.
So what area of life is stretching you right now? So what is the areas when you start to think about your life and your relationship, where are you being stretched? I was challenged to read more. I've been challenged to really sit and really think about and operate in what is God doing in my life in this season. And so that requires some quiet time and some sit down time, which means that I'm going to have to cut something else out or get up earlier or, do some things a little bit different in order to have that time to really sit and think.
So then I'm going to add one to this, and that is, but how are we on purposely growing our marriage in this season? Because we're talking a lot of individual stuff, but I mean, how are we actually growing? How are you actually growing your marriage, right? What areas are you being stretched in? But let's put that together. What areas is your marriage being stretched in for growth, for the betterment of it? Mm-hmm. Because I think in marriages, sometimes honestly, I think we focus too much on the individual, and sometimes we need to focus on the couple. Those of you that are part of River Festival that goes on in Wichita, there was a concert the other night. The Jacksons came, and I had a button, but I'm like, I ain't going to the River Festival without my wife. What's the point in that? I mean, where am I going to holler at somebody? No. So why would I be down there? That's just me. but I have very specific and unique boundaries on purpose,
Right.
self-inflicted. All right, but I
Not
mean,
because anything happened.
no, but just some stuff I'm not gonna do. I'm not going down there looking like, "Are you single?" You know, SOS band. Not doing that. All right, so either I'm going with her, or I'm not going.
Right.
Now, if it was hunting, that'd be a little different.
And you can go all day, every day by yourself.
Right. But what dream or goal or opportunity are you excited about as a couple? Not individually. What dream or goal or opportunity are you excited about?
Somebody to finish
as a
all
couple?
of the projects that they have.
I knocked out 3 projects last night, and they wasn't even projects that was on the list. They just popped up.
No, I don't mean minor projects. I mean those big ones.
I'm trying to think of what big ones we got out there.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about it offline. How can I support your growth better? He does know. How can I support your growth better? So that's one of those things that you have to have a conversation about. What are things that I could be doing to help you grow? Because here's the thing. I know that you just said sometimes we talk about individual. Well, I can only control myself. I can't control what happens with you, whether you grow, whether you don't grow, whether you change. I can't, that's not within my purview. I don't have control over that. I do have control over how I act, how I react, how I interact, how I move forward. And so those are things that I have to pray about for God to do in me so that I become the best person that you would have that in our relationship.
But not having control doesn't mean that you don't have some influence.
I would agree. Okay. I will give you that one.
So, I mean, you can't control it, but you definitely have some influence in there, right? So here's the challenge this week. Intentionally encourage your spouse in one area where they are growing. Or we could say encourage your spouse in one area where we are growing.
Yeah. The strongest marriages aren't built by 2 perfect people. They're built by 2 people growing together.
People who keep learning, keep adjusting, keep becoming, stay together.
So next week we're moving into summer because it's already hot as Hades.
Not literally, but it is.
It is for Kansas.
So next week we'll be talking about the fruit of your labor. What are you producing? Okay, because anything that is alive should produce. That's a biblical principle. And it should produce after its own kind. That's another biblical principle that we don't really take into consideration. Because if you're producing hate, if hate resides in you, you're going to produce after your own kind.
True.
So first of all, some of us might need to change what we're growing and what we're cultivating. Because it's going to produce. It's going to manifest, right? So then, are you enjoying the fruit of your labor? And because your marriage shouldn't be all work all the time. You ought to be able to stop and enjoy some of the things that you've built over the span of time, whether you've been married 2 days, 2 weeks, 22 years, 36 years. You ought to be able to stop every now and then and just savor the journey.
Yeah, I would agree. Just sit in your backyard, enjoy the space. Do some of those things. Don't be afraid to grow. Don't resist the season. And don't let discomfort stop your development.
Right. Because ultimately you want to do several things, and that is you want to keep building your relationship with faith, fun, and forever love.
Yeah.
So, hey, blessings to you all. We will see you next week.
We're out. Thank you for watching, and make sure that you join us on YouTube and our webpage, Marriage Encounters with Bill and Michelle at Weebly.com.